I always thought the worst part of being a surgeon was losing patience. Turns out, I was wrong. The worst part is coming home to find your wife of 12 years sleeping with your best friend in the bed you bought for your anniversary. My name is Thomas Reed, and until 3 months ago, I believed I had it all figured out. Successful cardiac surgery practice, beautiful wife Angela who ran her own interior design firm, a lakeside house in the suburbs of Minneapolis, and a circle of friends who'd been with us since college. I was the guy everyone called Lucky Tommy, the one who seemed to have his shit together, while everyone else was still figuring out their lives. That night in March changed everything. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'd finished a double bypass surgery earlier than expected and decided to surprise Angela with takeout from her favorite Thai place. The house was dark except for the bedroom light upstairs. I climbed the stairs quietly, planning to sneak up on her while she was probably reading one of those design magazines she loved. Instead, I found her riding my best friend Liam Carter like he was the last horse out of hell. The sound that came out of my throat wasn't human. It was something primal, broken, the sound a man makes when his entire world collapses in the span of 3 seconds. They scrambled apart like teenagers caught by parents, but the damage was already done. The image was burned into my retinas forever. "Tommy, I can explain," Angela started, pulling the sheet around herself. "Explain what?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "Explain how long you've been sleeping with my best friend? Explain why you chose our bed? Or explain why you look more alive right now than you have in the past 2 years?" Liam, the coward, was already pulling on his pants. "Man, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen like this." "Like this?" I laughed, and it sounded insane even to me. "You mean you never meant to get caught?" That's when Angela made her first mistake. Instead of apologizing, instead of showing even a hint of remorse, she lifted her chin defiantly. "You want the truth, Thomas? Fine. Yes, we've been seeing each other for 8 months, and yes, I'm happier with him than I've ever been with you." 8 months. 8 months while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for her business expansion, while I was planning our anniversary trip to Europe, while I was talking to fertility specialists because she said she wanted to start trying for kids. 8 months, I repeated slowly. "So when you said you were working late on the Henderson project, I was with Liam." She wasn't even trying to soften the blow anymore. "And when you said you needed space to think about our marriage, I was with Liam. And last month, when you said you weren't ready for kids yet, because I'm in love with Liam." The words hit me like a scalpel to the chest, clean, precise, and devastating. Liam finally found his voice. "Tommy, we didn't plan this. It just happened. We tried to fight it, but what? Your dick accidentally fell into my wife?" "Don't be crude," Angela snapped. "This is exactly why I fell out of love with you. You never understood me. You never saw me as anything more than your perfect little housewife." I stared at her. This woman I'd loved since we were 25. This woman I'd supported through her father's passing and her business struggles. This woman I'd planned to grow old with. She looked like a stranger. "Get out," I said quietly. "Tommy," Liam started. "Both of you, get out of my house. Now." They left, but not before Angela delivered her parting shot. "I'll be back tomorrow for my things. And Thomas? I'm filing for divorce. I want half of everything, including the practice." After they were gone, I sat on my living room couch for 6 hours straight, staring at the wall. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I just sat there, feeling something cold and hard crystallize in my chest where my heart used to be. That was the night Thomas Reed, the good husband, gone. What was born in his place was something much more dangerous. The next morning, I called in sick for the first time in 3 years. Dr. Klein, my partner at the practice, was concerned. Tommy Reed didn't get sick, didn't take personal days, didn't miss surgeries unless someone was fading. "Everything okay, Tom? You sound different." "My wife is leaving me for my best friend. They've been seeing each other behind my back for 8 months. Other than that, everything's peachy." Silence on the other end. Then, "Jesus, Tom, I'm sorry, take the week. Hell, take 2 weeks." But I didn't want time to grieve. I wanted information. I started with Angela's phone records. As her husband, I was still on the family plan, which meant I could access everything. What I found made my stomach turn. Hundreds of texts to Liam, some so explicit they made porn look like children's literature. Photos I never wanted to see. And worse, screenshots of conversations where they mocked me. "Tommy actually thinks we're trying for a baby. Poor bastard has no idea I've been on birth control the whole time. He's so boring in bed like a medical textbook. Can't wait until the divorce is final. His half of the practice will set us up nice." That last one made me see red. They weren't just betraying me. They were planning to financially destroy me too. I kept digging. Bank records showed Angela had been funneling money from our joint account into a separate account I didn't know about. Credit card statements revealed expensive dinners, hotel rooms, jewelry I'd never seen her wear. She'd been building a new life with my money while lying to my face every single day. But the real kicker came when I hacked into her email. Angela wasn't just cheating with Liam. She'd been trash-talking me to everyone we knew for months. "Thomas is so controlling. He monitors everything I do." I didn't. "He's been emotionally abusive for years." I wasn't. "I'm afraid of what he might do if he finds out about Liam." Now that one might be accurate. She was building a narrative, painting herself as the victim and me as the villain. Our mutual friends were already choosing sides based on her lies. That's when my phone started buzzing with concerned texts from people I'd known for over a decade. "Hey man, Angela told us what's been going on. We're here if you need to talk." Jake Morrison, my college roommate. "Dude, we had no idea you were going through problems. Why didn't you say anything?" Pete Carlson, my golf buddy. "Tom, violence is never the answer. Please get help." Sarah Martinez, Angela's former college roommate. "Violence? What violence?" I hadn't laid a finger on anyone. I called Jake first. "What exactly did Angela tell you?" "Come on, man. We know about the fights, the threats. She showed us the bruises." "What bruises?" "The ones on her arms, Tommy. Look, we get that you're hurting, but putting your hands on her." I hung up and immediately called Pete. "Tommy, thank God. We've been worried sick. Angela said you've been drinking heavily, that you threatened her and Liam." Another hang-up. Another call. "Tom." Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. "Angela's staying with me right now. She's scared. She said you've been following her, that you keyed Liam's car." "I've been at home for 2 days straight," I said through gritted teeth. "I haven't left the house except to get groceries." "She has photos of the car, Tom. And witnesses saw someone matching your description." I hung up and threw my phone across the room. The brilliant, evil snake was framing me. She was creating evidence, manipulating our friends, building a case that would make me look like an abusive stalker while she played the innocent victim. By the time the divorce proceedings started, I'd be lucky to keep my medical license, let alone half our assets. But Angela made one crucial mistake in her character assassination campaign. She forgot that I'm a surgeon. I'm trained to cut precisely, to find the exact spot that will cause the most damage, to work with steady hands, even when everything is falling apart. And she forgot that I'm smarter than her. That night I opened a bottle of 20-year-old scotch, a wedding gift we'd been saving for our 15th anniversary, and started planning my revenge. If Angela wanted to play games, I'd show her what a real player looked like. The first rule of surgery is that you never operate angry. Emotion makes your hands shake, clouds your judgment, causes you to make mistakes that eliminate people. So before I did anything else, I spent a week getting my head right. I went back to work, acted normal, played the part of the wounded husband who was trying to hold it together. Dr. Klein and the nurses were sympathetic but professional. A few asked how I was doing, and I gave them the same answer, taking it one day at a time. Meanwhile, I was gathering intelligence. Angela had moved in with Sarah Martinez temporarily, while she looked for her own place. Every morning she drove her white BMW to her design studio downtown. She usually grabbed coffee at the Starbucks on 5th Street around 9 a.m., had lunch at various trendy spots depending on her client meetings, and was back at Sarah's by 7 p.m. most nights, except Wednesdays and Fridays. Those nights, she was with Liam. Liam had upgraded from his downtown apartment to a penthouse in the Millennium Tower, apparently confident that his share of destroying my life would pay for the increased rent. He drove a Tesla Model S, the same car that had allegedly been keyed by someone matching my description. I examined the photos Angela had shared with our friends. The scratches were real, but they were too perfect, too deliberate. Someone had keyed that car all right, but it wasn't random vandalism. It was strategic damage designed to look like the work of a jealous husband. The bruises on Angela's arms were harder to figure out until I remembered her Wednesday night kickboxing class. The class she'd supposedly quit 3 months ago, but was apparently still attending, probably with Liam, getting deliberately roughed up to create evidence. These people had thought of everything, almost everything. Their first mistake was underestimating me. Their second was overestimating themselves. I started with social media reconnaissance. Angela's Instagram was a carefully curated collection of strong woman overcoming adversity posts. Lots of inspirational quotes about leaving toxic relationships, photos of her looking sad but determined, and subtle hints about her journey to healing. The comments were predictably supportive, mostly from women who didn't know the full story. But there were also comments from our mutual friends, people I'd known for years, people I'd helped through their own crises, people who were now treating me like a domestic abuser based on Angela's lies. That hurt worse than the cheating, if I'm being honest. But it also gave me a target list. Liam's social media was more revealing. The idiot couldn't help himself. He was posting photos of expensive dinners, new clothes, weekend trips to Chicago and Milwaukee. For a guy who'd been crying poverty 6 months ago, he was living pretty well. I cross-referenced his posts with Angela's credit card statements and found the pattern. She was funding his lifestyle upgrade with money from our joint accounts, money I'd earned working 12-hour days while she was building her business. That's when I discovered the real scope of their plan. Angela's design firm was failing, had been failing for 2 years actually, but she'd been hiding it from me. She'd been using our personal funds to keep it afloat while telling me everything was fine. The business she claimed was expanding was actually hemorrhaging money. But Liam had a solution. His architectural firm was thriving, and he'd offered to merge their companies once Angela was free from her controlling husband. They'd use my divorce settlement to fund the merger, essentially using my own money to build their dream business while destroying my life. It was actually impressive, in a sociopathic kind of way. Too bad for them I'd learned a few things about strategy during my surgical residency. The third rule of surgery, after never operate angry and always have a backup plan, is this. When you cut deep enough to solve the problem permanently. I was about to give Angela and Liam a masterclass in precision. My first move was subtle. I called our accountant, Jim Bradley, and scheduled a meeting to discuss financial planning during my divorce. Jim had been handling our taxes for 8 years. He knew our financial situation better than we did, and he'd always been straight with me. When I walked into his office that Thursday morning, he looked like he'd been dreading this conversation. "Tom, I have to ask, did you know about Angela's business situation?" "I'm learning a lot of things I didn't know," I said carefully. "Why don't you tell me what you think I should know?" Jim pulled out a thick folder. "Your wife's company is in serious trouble. She's been covering operating expenses with personal funds for 18 months. The business account is overdrawn. She's behind on rent for her studio space. and she owes about 40,000 in unpaid invoices to suppliers. 40,000. Jesus. She told me the business was expanding. Tom, her business is about 6 weeks away from bankruptcy. The only thing keeping it alive is the money she's been transferring from your joint accounts. I sat back in my chair, processing this. Jim, hypothetically, what would happen to that debt in a divorce? Depends on how it's structured. If the business debt is in her name only, it stays with her. But if she's been using marital assets to prop it up, he shrugged, could get complicated. And if she were to suddenly lose access to those marital assets? Jim gave me a sharp look. Tom, whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking about protecting myself from my wife's lies and financial irresponsibility. That's not illegal, is it? No, he said slowly. It's not illegal. But it might be ruthless. Good. I need ruthless right now. I left Jim's office with a clear plan. Step 1 was cutting off Angela's access to our joint funds. As long as we were still legally married, I couldn't close the accounts entirely, but I could transfer the money to a separate account that required both signatures for withdrawals. By the time Angela tried to pay her studio rent that Friday, her card was declined. I was in surgery when she called, so I didn't get the message until that evening. 7 voicemails, each one progressively more hysterical. Thomas, there's something wrong with our account. Call me back. Thomas, this isn't funny. I have bills to pay. You bastard, I know you did something. Fix this now. I'm calling my lawyer. You can't cut me off from our money. You want to play games? Fine. You have no idea what I'm capable of. This is financial abuse, Thomas. I'm documenting everything. Actually, sweetheart, I thought, listening to her increasingly unhinged messages, this is just the beginning. I called her back around 9 p.m. What the hell did you do to our accounts? She demanded without preamble. I protected our marital assets from further unauthorized depletion, I said calmly. Apparently, you've been using our money to fund your failing business without telling me. That stops now. You can't do this. Actually, I can. The account requires both signatures now. You want to spend our money? We discuss it first. I need that money, Thomas. I have rent due, suppliers to pay. Then you should have thought about that before you started sleeping with my best friend and planning to take half my practice. Silence. Then, you've been reading my private messages. Your private messages about spending my money and destroying my reputation? Yeah, I read those. Interesting stuff. Especially the part where you've been funneling cash into a secret account. That's not... I can explain. Save it for your lawyer. Speaking of which, you might want to find a better one, because the guy you've been talking to, he's about to have some interesting information about your business finances. I hung up and immediately called Jim Bradley. Jim, I need you to prepare a complete financial statement showing every transfer from our personal accounts to Angela's business over the past 2 years, and I need a professional assessment of the company's actual value. Tom, are you sure about this? It's going to get ugly. It's already ugly. Now it's going to get honest. The next morning, I had a courier deliver copies of Angela's real financial situation to her lawyer, along with documentation of every lie she'd told me about her business success. I also sent copies to 3 of our mutual friends, the ones who'd been most vocal about supporting her through this difficult time. By noon, my phone was buzzing with confused texts. Dude, is this real? Angela's been lying about her business? Jake. Tom, I don't understand. She said you were controlling her finances, but these documents show she was stealing from you. Pete. I think we need to talk. There might be more to this story than Angela told us. Sarah. That afternoon, Sarah called me directly. Tom, I owe you an apology. She's been saying things that don't match these financial records. What kind of things, Sarah? She said you were financially abusive, that you controlled all the money and made her beg for basic expenses. But these bank statements show she had full access to everything, and she was spending, God, Tom, she was spending thousands without telling you. What else did she tell you? A long pause. She said you hit her. She showed me bruises, said you grabbed her during a fight. I've never laid a hand on Angela in 12 years of marriage. I'm starting to think I know that. Tom, those bruises, they were always in the same places. Arms, shoulders, places you'd get hurt in a boxing class or a kickboxing class. Yeah. Oh God. You think she was faking it? I think Angela has been planning this for a long time, and she needed me to look like the bad guy to justify what she's been doing. I feel sick. Tom, I'm so sorry. We should have talked to you first, should have gotten your side of the story. It's okay, Sarah. She's very convincing when she wants to be. What are you going to do now? I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. I'm going to give her exactly what she deserves. Word travels fast in our social circle, especially when it involves money and lies. By the weekend, Angela's carefully constructed narrative was falling apart. Jake called Saturday morning. Tommy, we messed up. We messed up bad. Yeah, you did. She played us, man. All of us. We should have known better, should have talked to you first. You should have. But you didn't, and now I know who my real friends are. Come on, don't be like that. We were trying to help what we thought was an abused woman. You can understand that, right? What I understand is that you've known me for 15 years, and you believed I was capable of beating my wife based on some bruises and a sob story. That tells me everything I need to know about what you really think of me. Tommy. I'm not Tommy anymore. Tommy was the guy who got walked all over by his cheating wife and abandoned by his friends. You can call me Thomas from now on. I hung up and immediately got another call, this one from Pete. Tom, please, let us make this right. We want to help. You want to help? Then stay out of my way. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm handling this situation myself now. You had your chance to be supportive friends. You chose to be Angela's flying monkeys instead. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been giving me the benefit of the doubt. Fair would have been asking for my side of the story. Fair would have been remembering that I'm the guy who helped you through your divorce, Pete. I'm the guy who loaned you money when you were out of work. I'm the guy who was best man at your wedding. Silence. But instead, you believe that I, the man you've known since college, the man who's never shown a violent tendency in his life, suddenly became a wife-beater, because a woman who was cheating on me said so. Tom, we're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Pete. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. Sorry doesn't give me back the 3 months I spent thinking I was alone in the world. I hung up on him too. But the call I was really waiting for came Sunday evening. Angela, and she was furious. You turned everyone against me. I told everyone the truth. There's a difference. You had no right to share my private financial information. It's not your private financial information. It's our money that you stole to prop up your failing business while lying to my face about it. I didn't steal anything. That money was as much mine as yours. Really? Because I seem to remember you telling Liam that my half of the practice would set you up nice. Sounds like you knew exactly whose money it really was. Another pause. She was learning to hate those pauses. You read my private messages. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. We're married, the phone is on my plan, and I pay the bills. But even if it were illegal, what are you going to do? Call the cops and explain how I discovered you were committing adultery and planning to defraud me in our divorce? Thomas, please. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We? There is no we anymore, Angela. You made sure of that when you decided to sleep with my best friend for 8 months while planning to destroy my life. I never meant for it to happen this way. Which part? The cheating, the lying, the stealing, or the character assassination? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you meant for all of it to happen exactly this way. I love him, Thomas. I'm sorry, but I do. I love Liam, and I want to be with him. Then be with him. but you're going to do it broke because you're not getting a penny of my money." "You can't do that. I'm entitled to half of everything." "You're entitled to half of our legitimate marital assets, minus what you stole to fund your business and your affair. My lawyer thinks that might actually leave you owing me money. I'll fight you on this." "Good, fight me. Because unlike our friends, a judge won't be swayed by your crocodile tears and fake bruises. A judge will look at bank records, phone records, and financial statements. A judge will see exactly what you are. And what's that? A lying, cheating, manipulative thief who tried to destroy an innocent man to cover up her own crimes." I hung up and poured myself 3 fingers of scotch. It was going to be a long war, but I'd just won the first battle. Now it was time to go after Liam. Liam Carter had always been the golden boy. Star quarterback in high school, full scholarship to Northwestern, successful architectural firm by 35. He was the guy who seemed to glide through life while the rest of us worked our asses off. What Liam didn't know was that I'd been studying him for weeks. His habits, his weaknesses, his secrets, and everyone has secrets. Liam's secret was that his architectural firm was built on stolen designs. I discovered this by accident while researching his background for the divorce proceedings. I wanted to know how he could suddenly afford a penthouse and expensive dinners, so I dug into his business finances. What I found was a pattern of inspiration that looked suspiciously like plagiarism. 3 of his most successful projects in the past 2 years were nearly identical to designs submitted to architectural competitions by smaller firms. Designs that had been rejected or overlooked, then mysteriously appeared months later as Liam Carter originals. The first was a mixed-use development in downtown Minneapolis. The original design had been submitted by a small firm in Chicago for a competition they didn't win. 6 months later, Liam presented an almost identical design to a different client and got the contract. The second was a residential complex in Edina. Original design by a recent graduate from the University of Minnesota who'd posted it in her online portfolio. Liam's version was so similar that he'd even kept the same window configurations. The third was the big one, a corporate headquarters that had made Liam's reputation and earned him over $2 million in fees. The original design belonged to a firm in Detroit that had submitted it for a project that was ultimately canceled due to funding issues. Liam had been systematically stealing designs from smaller architects who didn't have the resources to fight him, then presenting them as his own work to clients who paid premium prices for Liam Carter originals. It was brilliant, in a completely sociopathic way, and it was about to destroy him. I spent 2 weeks documenting everything. Side-by-side comparisons, timeline analyses, financial records showing the correlation between stolen designs and Liam's income spikes. I even hired a forensic accountant to trace the money trail. Then I called the original designers. "Ms. Peterson, my name is Thomas Reed. I'm calling about a design you created for the Riverside Commons project in 2019. "I'm sorry, who is this?" "I'm a private investigator working on a case involving architectural plagiarism. I believe your design may have been stolen and used without your permission." I wasn't technically lying. I was investigating, and I was private. "Stolen? By who?" "Liam Carter, of Carter & Associates. He presented a nearly identical design to a client in Minneapolis and received a $2.4 million contract." Silence. Then, "Are you serious?" "Absolutely serious. I have documentation if you'd like to see it." By the end of that week, I'd contacted all 3 original designers and provided them with comprehensive evidence of Liam's theft. I also sent anonymous tips to the Minnesota Board of Architecture, the Better Business Bureau, and 2 local investigative journalists who specialized in business fraud. But I wasn't done yet. Friday night, I followed Liam to his favorite bar, an upscale place in the warehouse district where he liked to network with potential clients. He was there with Angela, playing the happy couple for anyone who might be watching. I waited until he went to the bathroom, then intercepted him on his way back to the table. "Hello, Liam." He nearly jumped out of his skin. Jesus, Tommy, you scared me. Did I? I can't imagine why. Guilty conscience, maybe? He tried to push past me, but I stepped sideways, blocking his path. We were in a narrow hallway between the bathroom and the main bar area, out of sight, but not completely private. Look, man, I know you're pissed, but… Pissed? No, Liam, I'm not pissed. Pissed is what you feel when someone cuts you off in traffic. This is something else entirely. Tommy, I'm sorry about how this happened. We never meant to hurt you. We? You mean you and my wife, who you've been seeing for 8 months while planning to take half my assets. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. But here's the thing, Liam. I know about the designs. His face went white. What designs? The Riverside Commons design you stole from Jennifer Peterson. The Adena residential project you lifted from Sarah Kim. The corporate headquarters you copied from Mitchell and Associates in Detroit. I smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. Should I continue? I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. You've been stealing designs for years, haven't you? Taking work from smaller firms and presenting it as your own. It's actually pretty clever. Go after people who don't have the resources to fight you. Modify the designs just enough to avoid obvious plagiarism charges. Then charge premium prices for original work. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. I have side-by-side comparisons, timeline documentation, financial records showing your income spikes, correlating with each theft, and testimony from 3 designers who are now very interested in pursuing legal action. Liam's hands were shaking. What do you want? I want you to understand something. You didn't just steal my wife. You stole my life, my friends, my peace of mind. You and Angela tried to destroy me to cover up your own crimes. Tommy, please. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk back to that table, you're going to tell Angela that your business is about to collapse, and you're going to explain that you won't be able to fund her lifestyle anymore. Because by Monday morning, every client you have is going to know that Liam Carter is a fraud. You bastard. No, Liam. I'm a surgeon. I cut out diseased tissue so the healthy parts can survive. You and Angela, you're the disease. I walked away and left him standing there, knowing that his world was about to come crashing down just like mine had 3 months ago. The difference was, he deserved it. Monday morning brought chaos. The Minnesota Board of Architecture announced they were launching an investigation into Liam Carter's business practices. The Star Tribune ran a front-page story about architectural plagiarism in the Twin Cities, with Liam's photo prominently displayed. 3 of his major clients called emergency meetings to discuss their contracts. By Wednesday, Carter and Associates had lost 4 clients and was facing 3 separate lawsuits from the original designers. Liam's business insurance was threatening to drop him, and his bank was calling in a line of credit he couldn't cover. Angela called me that afternoon, hysterical. You destroyed him! You destroyed us! I exposed him, I corrected. There's a difference. If Liam's business can't survive people knowing the truth about how he operates, that's not my fault. He's losing everything because of you. He's losing everything because he's a thief who got caught. Just like you're losing everything because you're a cheating liar who got caught. Thomas, please, we can work something out. I'll give you the divorce you want. I won't ask for alimony. Angela, you're not in a position to negotiate anymore. You have no money, no business, and no credibility. Your boyfriend is about to be bankrupt and possibly facing criminal charges. What exactly do you think you have to offer me? I can disappear. I'll move away, start over somewhere else. You'll never have to see me again. That's very generous of you, but I have a better idea. What? You're going to stay right here in Minneapolis, and you're going to live with the consequences of your choices. You're going to face every person you lied to, every friend you manipulated, every client you disappointed. You're going to rebuild your life from nothing, just like you tried to make me do. That's cruel. That's justice. But I wasn't done yet. There was still one more move to make. That evening, I called a meeting with Jake, Pete, and Sarah. We met at a coffee shop in Uptown, neutral territory, where we could have an honest conversation. They all looked uncomfortable when I walked in. Good. Thank you for coming, I said, sitting down across from them. I wanted to talk to you about what happened over the past few months. Tom, Jake started, we owe you a huge apology. We should have. Yes, you should have. But that's not why I asked you here. They exchanged glances. I asked you here because I want you to understand something. When Angela came to you with her lies, you had a choice. You could have remembered who I was, the friend who'd been there for all of you through your worst moments, and given me the benefit of the doubt. Or you could believe the worst about me based on the word of a woman who was cheating on me. We thought we were helping, Pete began. You thought you were helping her. You never once considered that you might be hurting me. You never asked yourself why a man with no history of violence would suddenly become abusive. You never wondered why someone who'd been a loyal friend for 15 years would suddenly become a monster. Sarah was crying. Tom, we're so sorry. We know we screwed up. You did more than screw up. You abandoned me when I needed you most. You believed lies about me without question. You turned your backs on me based on fabricated evidence and crocodile tears. How can we make this right? Jake asked. You can't, I said simply. Some things can't be fixed with an apology. Some betrayals are permanent. So that's it? 15 years of friendship and it's over? It was over the moment you chose to believe I was a wife-beater instead of asking for my side of the story. Everything since then has just been cleaning up the mess. I stood up to leave, then turned back to them. But I want you to remember this conversation in the future. The next time someone comes to you with a story about how terrible their spouse is, the next time you're asked to choose sides in someone else's marriage, remember how wrong you were about me. Remember that there are always two sides to every story, and the person crying the loudest isn't always the victim. I left them sitting there and walked out into the Minneapolis evening, feeling lighter than I had in months. The old Thomas Reed would have tried to salvage those friendships, would have accepted their apologies and pretended everything was fine. But the old Thomas Reed was gone, burned away by betrayal and lies. What was left was someone stronger, someone who knew his worth and wouldn't accept less than he deserved. 6 months after that night in March, when I found Angela with Liam, I was sitting in my lawyer's office, signing the final divorce papers. Angela looked like hell. She'd lost weight, her hair was limp and unwashed, and she was wearing clothes I recognized from 2 years ago. The designer outfits and expensive jewelry were long gone, sold to pay for her lawyer and basic living expenses. Liam wasn't with her. Liam was in his own legal hell, facing criminal fraud charges and civil lawsuits that would keep him busy for years. The Golden Boy's fall from grace had been spectacular and complete. Mrs. Reed, my lawyer said, do you understand the terms of this settlement? Angela nodded miserably. I get nothing. That's not accurate, he corrected. You're receiving your personal belongings, your car, and your business assets, such as they are. Mr. Reed is assuming all marital debts, including the money you borrowed against the house to fund your business operations. Business operations was a polite way of saying affair with Liam and failed attempts to steal my money. You're also waiving any claim to spousal support or future earnings from Dr. Reed's medical practice. I understand, she whispered. And you acknowledge that this settlement is the result of your fraudulent use of marital assets and adultery? Yes. My lawyer slid the papers across the table. Angela signed them with shaking hands. There is one more thing, I said as she prepared to leave. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. What? I want you to know that I don't hate you. She blinked, surprised. I don't hate you, I repeated. Hate is what you feel for someone who matters. You don't matter to me anymore, Angela. You're just a mistake I made when I was younger and didn't know better. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. 12 years, she said quietly. 12 years of marriage, and that's all it was to you? A mistake? No, I said. 12 years of marriage was real. It was beautiful, actually, right up until the moment you decided to destroy it. The mistake was thinking you were someone worth loving. She left without another word. That evening, I went home to my house now free and clear, and poured myself a drink. The same 20-year-old scotch I'd opened the night I started planning my revenge, except now, I was drinking it in celebration instead of rage. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Klein. Heard the divorce was finalized. Congratulations on your freedom. Drinks tomorrow? Another text from my brother in Seattle. Mom told me about Angela. Sorry you had to go through that, but proud of how you handled it. And surprisingly, one from Sarah. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know that I'm proud of you. You showed more class in 6 months than Angela showed in 6 years. I hope someday you can forgive us. I didn't respond to that one. Maybe someday I would, maybe I wouldn't. But it didn't matter anymore. I walked out onto my deck overlooking the lake and watched the sun set over the water. Tomorrow I would start the next chapter of my life. I was 42 years old, financially secure, professionally respected, and finally free from the lies and manipulation that had defined my marriage. Angela and Liam had tried to destroy me, and instead, they'd forged me into something stronger. They'd wanted to leave me broken and alone, and instead, they'd taught me the difference between people who were worth my time and people who weren't. The old Thomas Reed had been a good man who trusted too easily and forgave too quickly. The new Thomas Reed was a better man who knew his worth and wouldn't settle for less. I raised my glass to the sunset and smiled. It was good to be alive.